Aaron is leaning heavily into the defend Kanye at all costs.
Oh well, he's been doing that.
I
for
could have
weeks.
told you that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's been doing that for weeks.
But it's getting to the point now
where it's like enough is enough.
Exactly.
Bro, I don't
Barbecue chicken.
What did Kanye do wrong? How is it enough?
Come on, man. You're a 45-year-old man. Like, you know better.
If niggas is getting scared or feeling the type of way about claymation, we in a whole new era.
It's not about the claymation itself. That's an oversimplified way to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. All right, so here I'm gonna write it on the side. Genius Part 3. Eazy music video. I'm guessing is number 2.
Are we gonna talk about Batman?
I mean, we can't really talk about it.
I'll watch it tomorrow.
I mean, even so, we couldn't really say much. People don't like spoilers, but I haven't seen it.
You're never gonna see it.
Why wouldn't I? It's Batman.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Why wouldn't I see it?
You don't go see movies.
I haven't even been allowed in a movie theater.
I don't care, Junebug. You couldn't. You had the same excuse 4 years ago when there was a pandemic.
That I'm not allowed?
No.
Let's get to the real root of the issue. How many times has Junebug flaked on you when you invited him to go to the movies and he was like, nah?
He's never invited me to a movie ever, I don't think.
All right, so why is that energy
That's not
there?
even how that's not even how our relationship operates.
Every movie.
I just don't watch movies often.
Yo, let's talk about it. Nah, I haven't seen it yet. Yo.
You've never said, I just watched a movie, let's talk about it. Like, that's never happened.
Remember fucking Thor 1? Nah, son, don't talk about it. I haven't seen it.
I just haven't seen no Marvel movies. So I can't ever talk about Marvel movies.
Spider-Man No Way Home is a fucking classic.
Yeah, I don't, like, I didn't understand why you was picking that argument. Like, you understood my argument, right, Aaron?
What?
The argument where I was like, oh, scary movie, classic. And he was like, that's a classic. And I'm like, well, like, not in the way that it's like fucking Oscar nominated, classic. But like, don't be a menace, classic. Like, I thought it was very like clear what I was going for.
Listen, you just said 5 minutes ago that you barely watch movies, and now you're calling...
Those are movies from when I was young. Spider-Man No Way Home, I haven't seen. I'm just saying, based on its performance and based on what I've heard, it's easy to consider that going to be classic kind of movie. Going to be considered classic. It literally broke all-time records, and anything I've ever heard about it was good.
So is your barometer for a classic just being successful?
What does classic mean to you? There's like two types of classics. It's like classic, like that was an amazing film classic, and then there's classic, like the nostalgic kind of classic. Where's the issue?
I mean, my definition of classic would be something that's universally resonated with people, not necessarily something that was commercially successful. Sometimes that aligns, and there are things that are commercially successful and resonate with people. But then you have other things that are just commercially successful, but...
Well, I don't care about commercial success. I'm just saying that Spider-Man was definitely universally resonated with from audiences that I've spoken to. Yeah. Like, I haven't heard any single negative thing, like, about Spider-Man. Have you seen Spider-Man?
Everything.
Yeah, I saw it.
You didn't like it? Like, what? You have some venom to it?
I enjoyed it. I liked it, but because I enjoyed it and liked it doesn't make it a classic to me. Maybe it's me because I have a higher... Maybe I'm taking it... First of all, clearly I'm taking it a little bit too literal when you say classic.
Yeah, but it's like when you say something's goated, you don't actually mean it's the greatest thing of all time, all the time that you say it. Like, there's sometimes where you're talking about Jordan's the GOAT and you actually mean greatest of all time. And then you be like, oh, that shit's goated. And it's just like a way to be hyperbolic.
Okay.
That's why I like you guys. You use the big words.
I've been using the fucking word hyperbolic all day. Just because I was explaining Gary V. I was talking to Joseph about Gary V.
Oh, I know that guy.
So I was like, bro, I understand why some people like think he's hyperbolic. Like, he has a clip where he's like, where he's like, I would tear my fucking arms off to be 20 whatever again.
25, and I'm like, man, I've really been here like...
Bro, I'd rip both my legs off and arms to be 25. On some real shit. I'd give up everything I have to be 25, just to play again.
Like, obviously he says dumb, like, over the top shit, and he just exaggerates. I get that, why that would rub people the wrong way.
Yo, have they done like a skit on him on SNL when like somebody's impersonated him?
I don't think so.
I think it would be a perfect one.
I've seen Cody Ko on his podcast, and his co-host kind of make a joke about it.
Yeah, maybe Pete Davidson could play him.
Are you really dislike Pete Davidson?
I think it would fit.
Yeah, maybe he could suggest he needs meds.
He didn't suggest he needed meds. He suggested he take the meds that he was already prescribed to have needed.
Yeah, and it was fine because it was a joke.
It was fine because it's true, and it was fine because it was in the context of SNL and comedy. He wasn't just randomly talking shit. He was doing his job. Like, I'm sorry.
Aaron,
So was Kanye.
the same person who was so concerned about what North was watching on TikTok.
That's what I'm
not
saying.
Nearly as concerned about what her dad
That's the point I made
is
last
saying
week.
on social media.
Yeah, because his daughter shouldn't be on social media seeing him say that.
No,
But
what?
his thoughts and whatever he's saying on social media is getting back on the news to outlets that are not social media. She's what, 9, 10 years old? She's hearing whatever he says. Like,
I couldn't play Grand Theft Auto, but I knew my dad was fucking in and out of jail.
Do not see the correlation.
yeah, I don't either, but sounded good.
My dad was fucking motherfuckers up. My father was robbing. He was doing whatever he had to do in the streets. But he didn't want me playing Grand Theft Auto.
But that's just a disconnect. That's like how parents are, though. Parents wouldn't have wanted me on social media or playing, like, Call of Duty is a better example. But it's not like playing Call of Duty is going to make me want to shoot people, like I said a couple weeks ago.
But I will say that
Kanye called some skeet in front of her.
as I noted a couple episodes ago, listening to Pusha T does make me want to sell crack at times. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
I
but
never act on
would
those
you-
impulses.
Exactly. That's the difference.
But I'm like, yeah.
And learning to shoot a gun the first time made me want to shoot the gun more. But, you know, I reined it in, and, you know, I'm good now.
Don't judge me out there, people. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with slinging some crack every now and then. People gotta do what they gotta do.
Agree to disagree. But you agree to disagree as well, I take it.
Listen, Aaron can't be the only one out here making like controversial statements. So like, you know, I'm just saying.
I don't even think Aaron's making the statements for the purpose of controversy, though.
No, he actually
Yeah, he's
believes it.
all in.
He's all in.
He's all
You
in.
consider controversial. Don't seem controversial to me.
Are we almost ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I feel like we've been already having a
we
podcast.
doing
That's what I feel like,
Yeah,
but I'm
just-
like,
just
I'm
like
still expecting
warming
Aaron
up,
to
but-
intro us.
I'm about to. 3, 2, 1.
Ran it up like Forrest Gump, mixed with Usain Bolt, but you never really made it back. You kept paving waves. When I spin the globe, I'm connected across the map. I'm a walking business brand. I'm a mogul with LLC. What you telling me?
You don't even like just tell us.
Well, I only counted because I see y'all waiting and you was drinking.
Just be like, well, welcome to the
Hey, yo.
podcast. I guess like here we go. We
Welcome
already
to the No
kicked it
Politics
off.
Podcast. It's your motherfucking boy faking no moves.
It's your motherfucking boy Eric BNYC.
I'm just your boy, WorkinGenius. I'm not.
Nah, that's your motherfucking boy
Y'all both
WorkinGenius.
angry.
Yeah,
Y'all both
been
coming out
warming up
swinging.
I'm on one right
half an
now.
hour, so we ready.
See that?
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
If it's worth talking about, we talking about it.
Yes,
You already
sir.
know.
And what we talking about
The
today?
weekly dose.
That's right. Yo, can we
Ooh,
add
yeah.
gunshots like
Doom,
in
doom,
post op?
doom, doom, doom.
Post op. Post production, not post op.
I don't even know what that is.
Start the podcast. Let's get into it.
You
All right,
can tell
so
me that on the after hours.
this is what week 3 of our Kanye Genius recaps. It's the final one.
I thought you were
Right.
gonna call it documentary tour, but yeah.
Well, it's the documentary, right? So what do they call them? We spoke on the first 2. What do they call
First one was
chapters or
Vision.
parts?
It was Act 1 Vision, Act 2
Act 1
Purpose, and now Act 3 Awakening.
Awakening. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys? What was your takeaway now that you guys saw all 3 parts? Just like a brief. Obviously, we're gonna run through everything, but like, what about you, Aaron? First thing that comes to mind as far as your takeaway from everything?
Well, automatically, as soon as it was done, I was like, damn. I wish Cootie would have been able to like go on tour with him and things like that. I didn't really have a final like thought about the whole total product. I just thought about the shit that could have been. So I was like, damn, I wish Cootie would have been on tour for College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808s even. If it would have ended at them not being together no more after he's on tour with him for like 808s, then I would have been like not mad at that. I would have been like, okay, cool, and then they link back up later on and shit. But I really wish Cootie would have been on, because even if Kanye had other people filming certain things in a professional way, that side homeboy, like, inside camera is such a dope thing.
The intimacy of it, like, that was his people.
Exactly. So that's what I really came away from it thinking.
I thought the same thing while watching it, but the only difference is I came to kind of appreciate the fact that the couple years in between where he wasn't with him day to day, I think made it dope from this standpoint, because you got to see what Kanye was before on first 2-3 projects, and then when he reunited with him, you got to see the person he was then, and it was a stark difference from the person that we saw in Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2. And then once we got to Act 3, it was like he was far more obviously way more successful, but he was also just heightened. Like, the stuff that was there before about him was now on 10. What about you, Cesar?
Before I even get to the question, just to respond to that, I think it was interesting because we definitely saw a different Kanye in part 3 for most of it, and then I like that, like, towards the latter half of part 3, he's talking to a group of people, I believe, like in the studio, and he's telling them how he literally explains it like, when I was dead, almost like those years that like Cootie wasn't around and he kind of detached and he was kind of going through his stuff and figuring this stuff out before he found God, like he considers that death, you know what I mean? And so like that was just a kind of...
Are you talking about the conversation they were having in China in the car? Was that quote from
No,
her?
he was in the studio.
Okay.
He said he was like, he explained where he was at and talking about his faith as coming alive again.
Oh, this is the Jesus Jesus
King.
is King
Exactly.
sessions. Okay.
Exactly. But overall, my takeaways, I think that Kanye is more self-aware than like I thought I knew, because he does do things where he kind of acts out and you're like, bro, you gotta know better. But there are multiple times in part 3 especially where he talks about how he knows he doesn't get the message out the right way, and he knows he struggles to communicate with the public, and he's very much aware of it, but it's almost like he just can't help it. But so it's not like when he's doing things, it's like, man, Kanye, what do you like? Almost like he's acting out and he's unaware that like this is a part of who he is, but like he's very much aware of it and stuff like that. But overall, I thought it was a great documentary series. It was good to see old Kanye, and it was very motivating. But it was tough to see, like, how, even though it was weird because as he got more successful and everything heightened for him, kind of like on the inside, or like his true self kind of was like going through it and struggling and going downhill. You know?
Right. Yeah, my takeaway from it was, it's interesting. I found the third installment the most fascinating to me, and the reason being, like, obviously his story is one that resonates with people just because he was the underdog. He came out as the underdog, like he was having doors slammed in his face, and for him to become what he became and for him to predict it and speak it into existence is incredible. But a lot of the stuff that was in the first 2 episodes, if you're a hip-hop head, if you're somebody that's followed his career closely, if you listen closely to his interviews in the past, to interviews with people who were around him during that time, a lot of the stuff that was featured in there was stuff that was kind of referenced before. It just pieced it together. We never saw it kind of play out. We just heard it from stories. The third part, though, this final part, was interesting to me because it kind of pulled the curtain back on who he is now. And we haven't seen an up close and personal thing. Like, I guess if you watch the Kardashians, I think he used to appear on that show
Aaron
every
does.
now and then. Aaron, you watch it? Figures.
Yeah.
But
Not no
like,
more, especially if Skeet's on it.
you know, Kardashians is a produced show though, right? So like this, the thing about this documentary, it's not really overly produced. It's like a fly on the wall perspective to these sessions and these conversations that are being had. And it's almost like we're like this invited guest, and we have to kind of be in the corner and act like we're not, we have to act like we're invisible kind of, and just be privileged to be in the room and witnessing what we're witnessing. And that's kind of the feel that I got while watching this stuff. Like some of the stuff that I saw like made me feel sad, like honestly, for him. My biggest takeaway is him as a person. Like I feel for him in a way, like, but it doesn't erase kind of the stuff that he may have said or done at times. Not trying to play, judge and jury or hold him to some ungodly moral standard, because at the end of the day, he's a man and he's an artist and he's gonna fuck up and make mistakes like anybody. But I understand him a little bit better and what he's going through, and I think it highlighted that, if anything else. Like even if you were somebody who fell out of love with him, at least you could look at this and be like, I don't like this, but man, at least I understand it a little bit better. He's going through shit, and the documentary did show that,
Yeah. One thing I was gonna say too is like, with the disconnect, like you see Kanye before the deal trying to get on, and you see how comfortable he is with Cootie on the fucking camera. You know what I'm saying? But then when they do link back up, like he seems like he's like standing to the side, like damn, like he might even be thinking to himself like, are we cool like that? Should I go like? But he's just kind of like it comes off like he's ignoring Cootie, just standing there, and it's interesting that from Cootie's perspective, he's like, I wasn't invited on tour. I did feel bad and shit. Kanye's life was changing quickly. He was going through a whole nother thing. We were separating. But his mom, Donda, Kanye's mom, had him come start recording her life for a documentary and shit. And that says a lot too. Like, like maybe his mom noticed it, but she knew that Cootie was good, so why not, try to give him an opportunity to work with her and keep him around, so I like that about the story too. And anything with Donda was sad. That was definitely sad, like how fast it happened to it. Felt like, like one moment she's
it was
like
sudden,
becoming his business partner, and then the next moment she's gone. He doesn't have that. Like he was
crazy.
And we touched about like, he had his mom in the studio with Puff and Game. We personally probably would have never did something like that. But it just goes to show that he started being
mind.
day to day with his mother, like taking it to another level, and then it just got taken away from him.
So I made, to hop on that point, I made a note. There was a quote in the documentary that Cootie said, referencing Donda, Kanye's mom, where he says, it was like the bigger he got, the more he wanted her around.
Yeah. And I made some notes on that too. But continue.
No, so I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree 100%. Like, people have said it, and even before we got to the point where they were gonna show the aftermath of his mom's death, you know, we kind of spoke on it, you know, episode or two earlier, where we all kind of sense, just by watching their interactions, how special of a person his mom was in his life. And also we could see why so many people who were in his inner circle at one time, and just people who were observers of him and covered him over the years, said that he hit a turning point when she died and he changed.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see why that might have happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, based on the same quote you said, like, the bigger he got, the more he wanted her around. Like, that was one of my favorite things, because I feel like he was just unashamed of her. Like, he wasn't embarrassed by her. He loved her to the point where he was unashamed of her. And like Aaron said, like, some people wouldn't even bring their mom around, you know, certain people. I mean, I would hate to feel like I would do something like that, like, because I don't feel like embarrassed by my mom or anything. So like, but just it's more of like even the trust factor of having her there, and
just
and
having her
just
in that environment, you know,
just is dope, and it shows how close they were. And even as she became his business partner, she said something to the effect of like, the parenting part is over, like now it's guidance and discussions, as you know, when we talk. But
boy, does he need that now.
Yeah.
And you know what it made me feel like too? It was like, he kind of, maybe it came off to me, right? Where it was like, I might not be perfect. I might say things that rubs people the wrong way, or might come out the wrong way. But look at my mom. She's the one who raised me. And it was like a thing, like Donda West and Kanye West were, you know what I'm saying? Like, they balanced each other. Like, everyone was like, yo, he has a great mom. Like, they knew he wasn't misguided. He was just getting his point across the wrong way sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because he got criticized when he said George Bush doesn't like black people. You know what I'm saying? But he had a reason for his feelings and shit. You know what I'm saying? He just, you know, so Donda definitely was important.
I was gonna also talk about, obviously, the Hey Mama scene where he's performing it in the kitchen with her.
Oh man,
they're just rapping it together.
That got me.
And I don't know if y'all noticed this, but do y'all notice, like, when it got to the, like, towards the end where it's like, you know, I love you, so he doesn't say, he like almost like hesitates to say like he loves her, like almost like, did y'all pick that up or no? It's like he'll go like he almost like kind of just
say, mama, I wanna scream so loud for you, 'cause I'm so proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do, mama. You know I love you so, I never let you go, and I wrote this song just so you know, no matter where you go, I love you, mama.
And then the scene after, they're on the stairs, on the steps of, I guess, his childhood home. And even when he's like, you the best mom, like, he like covers his face, like very childlike, very innocent. And like, so I thought it was cool that scene came right after me noticing the love part, because it's almost like he's so like, I think he was afraid of how vulnerable and emotional his love for his mom could make him, to the point where, like, face to face, he didn't even want to like say like I love you, or it was hard for him, even though we know he does and we know he feels it. It's almost like when you ever love someone so much that when you kind of reflect on how much you love them, you almost like break down right there. No? I mean, I'm like that with my little brother. Anytime I talk about how much I love my brother and like just the lengths I feel like I would go for him, like it makes me emotional to the point where like it's hard to acknowledge it without getting emotional. And that's how I felt. That's how I felt when like I know like when he kind of was like he almost didn't say it or like looked away. I didn't think of it like, hey, why he ain't saying I love you to his mom. I immediately like felt like, damn, like that's probably how much she means to him, that it's like hard for him to like allow himself to like feel all those emotions and to be that vulnerable. But like, and
also, do you think in those moments he might be extra, like it didn't seem like he was overly conscious of the camera where he was playing up to the camera too much? I think for the most part he was being himself, but do you think in those moments where he was being vulnerable with his mom, where he was extra conscious that a camera was there, that made him whatever?
I'm not sure. I like you said, he doesn't seem like he plays up to the camera much, especially like early on in the documentary. So I don't know if that's the reason, but I don't know. He definitely had that like shy nature about it. And it was like innocent.
To hop on that though,
sweet.
Yeah, you said childlike and shy nature. Do you remember, fast forwarding towards the end of the documentary, he's in a car and he has his father on speaker, and this is on the heels of him giving his first presidential speech where he breaks down crying. He tells a story about that his dad was going to abort him, you know, at the time where his mom was pregnant with him. And similarly, he thought about doing the same with North when Kim was pregnant, and they both decided against it. But when he's talking with his dad, I got the same sense where like his dad kind of just was just like really calm and was just like giving him like really simple advice. He was like, he was hearing him, and Kanye was rambling on. He was going in all different directions. He's like, I just want to make sure that you're okay and you're doing okay. And then Kanye starts going into some like diatribe, and he's going in all these different directions. And then his dad was like, look, you just write your speech next time. Mm-hmm. And then Kanye goes, okay. And then he like looks in the back. He's like, yo, let's write it next time.
Yeah.
Right? It's very childlike. And then what I loved too, where he tells the story about the first time him riding a bike, and Kanye tells his dad, he's like, he uses it, his first time riding a bike, as an analogy to him and what he's doing in the presidential campaign and his, you know, his foray into being a presidential candidate. And he goes, I have it written here. He says, the first time I rode a bike, I fell. I'm going to get to the point of popping willies.
I wrote it too. I'm reading it.
Yeah. And it makes, you know, basically saying that, give me some time. Like, I'm going to get through it. I'm going to work my way to a point where I'm going to master it, you know, and stuff like that. And I thought that whole exchange was dope. And one other thing, and this kind of got me too, like, if you remember when he gets out the car and when he's on the conversation with his dad, and he's telling the story about him popping willies, and he tells his dad, he's talking about the fact that he went down a hill with his bike for the first time in Atlanta. And his dad goes, yeah, I was running alongside you to keep up with you. And then Kanye slips in, I need you beside me now.
Exactly.
And that shit.
And it's very subtle, right? It's so subtle.
Yes.
But like, I felt it. I was like, damn.
Yes. And basically that is his way of kind of asking or crying out for help. Mm-hmm. In the same way that he needed his mom, you know, and I don't think there was any mistake, or that's the wrong word. I don't think there was any coincidence that his mom had an increasingly larger presence in his career as he rose up to the top and got bigger. When Cootie said what he said, it made perfect sense, because I feel like Ye recognized that he needed that kind of guidance and support system, and she was the person that he trusted the most in the world.
Yeah. And I could imagine, like, you know, you lose one parent and you could feel lost, and then if you feel like you don't have that connection with your father as well, you know, and you have a parent that is alive but you just don't have a connection, you might feel like you have nobody, because parents are important in your life. You know, so just imagine a person who's going through all this in the limelight and feels like he doesn't have nobody, you know, even though he has a million people that love him, but it's like, I don't have no parents, I don't have nobody, you know what I'm saying? And now at this, it did look like he's, later on when he started getting into his faith and his Christianity, he wanted to connect with his father, you know, and build that bond and shit. And then, like you said,
even before connecting with his father, he wanted to connect with the people that were there before he took off, right? So he started kind of like refreshing his circle again, almost like bringing Cootie back around more. And because he mentions how he was around influences during those years, the years that he was dead, and that weren't, I guess, beneficial to him as a person, maybe to his success and, you know, the money and stuff like that, but not to like who he was before the fame and stuff like that. It
reminds me of when he's talking with his father, he's like, and Cootie's like, let me say hi. And then he's like, Dad, he's been here from the beginning. He did Through the Wire, Jesus Walks, like he has, like, and he's like excited to tell him, like, yo, Dad, like, you know. And he's like, and then he looks and he's like, can we get that to my dad, the stuff you're working on, like, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I even wanted to talk about the period of time where kind of like he changes up, where like him and Cootie could be in the same place and there wasn't that energy, there wasn't that excitement, right? And
sad.
Like it was so sad and it was so hard to see, and because we're hearing it from Cootie's perspective, and like from Cootie's perspective, it's like, it wasn't me. Like, I know it's not me that's kind of detached right now, or that's causing the disconnect. It's kind of like it's on the side of Kanye, but Kanye hasn't actually communicated to you why that is. So I don't know if y'all have ever had that with a friend where like y'all was mad close before, and then at some point it just don't feel the same, but you know in your mind like, well, it ain't me because I'm trying to connect, you know what I mean? But it's like they closed off to you now.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like that's such a like a difficult thing to deal with, especially for someone that like, it's like, damn, I want to be there for you though, because I love you. Like I got mad love for you, dog. Like, and you know what he's going through, and you know his mother passed, and you know how traumatic that could be on his life, and it's like you want to be there for them, but there's just that disconnect, and they're not allowing themselves to open up to you or communicate with you. And it was like Kanye just totally kind of shut him out. And that's not to like blame Kanye or anything, but just,
well, he deserves blame. I'm not saying it's all him, but he had the power to kind of change that. Like when his handlers told Cootie, after Kanye invited him to the Glow in the Dark tour to shoot footage, and they told him, we ain't got room for you anymore to travel with us, and he was sent home. That's fucked up.
Yeah, because I feel like that was like a way, like his handlers, like
enough power to be like,
exactly. It was almost like I felt the same. It was almost like, damn, did he put in that thing like to tell him we ain't got room for him, so that I don't gotta deliver that message, kind of thing.
Could have been.
I don't know.
You know, he was going through stuff, so like, you can't dismiss anything. I'll say this though. Everybody needs a Cootie in their life. Like, that dude is a solid stand-up dude.
I literally wrote a note, and it just said, Cootie's a real one.
Yeah.
Just simple as that. From, like, when he ended up in the hospital, trying to call him, reaching. Like, it was like, he could see all through everything, and he just wanted to be there for Kanye. Every time something went down, like, where he felt like, this is a cry for help, or Kanye could, need someone, he
Yeah.
was there. You know what I mean?
I-
While
I f-
having a family of his own and shit. Like,
How sad was it? Like, yo, he ends up getting access to the Pablo listening release party and fashion show at MSG. He goes there. He gets near Ye, pushes there. Big Sean, Cuddy. That's another thing. That Cuddy, seeing Cuddy and Ye so happy and like bros like that, seeing them record Kids See Ghosts, like that shit kind of hurt to see also on the whole other thing, because now you see them beefing again, falling out again over the Pete Davidson stuff or whatever. I mean, we'll get into that later, but
and they fell out before that though, or
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that with after the Pablo, before Kids See Ghosts because of Drake.
yeah. They fell out after Pablo, and then they reunited for Kids See Ghosts a couple years later. But long story short, like, it was sad because you see Cootie said that he wanted to have a conversation with him, like a one-on-one, and kind of like catch up, but there was a crush of people around and there wasn't an opportunity to do that. He wanted to kind of
have a heart-to-heart kind of thing.
yeah, and he mentioned the daughters. Like, he had a daughter who was a little bit older than North. He wanted to kind of link on that level too. Like, yo, like look what's happened in the 6 years that we were apart. Like, you have a family now. You're married now. I'm married. I have a daughter. They never really got to do that, and like that hurt him.
Have you seen the home video with his daughter mentioning Kanye?
Yeah, that was
She
cool.
had a lot of good things to
Being
say
an
too.
artist. Yeah, she was smart.
But she was
Super
also
smart.
like,
Dope.
be kind, and you know,
Yeah.
she was. It was more than just like the having the talent to do it. It was almost like staying a good person at the same time. But and then like it was so hard to see, or it was weird to see. Not weird, but like you almost knew when they met back up in 2017 and Kanye showed Cootie mad love where they reconnected. It was almost like hard to believe, like, this is the same Kanye that when Cootie was in the studio with him, he was like, don't film me, or like it was almost like he didn't feel welcome, you know.
That was tough to watch.
That was
Yeah,
tough
at one
too.
point when
That
he
was
said, "Yo, turn
that
it
was
off."
like, especially because you know that's what he do.
What
You know,
album was that? Were they working? Was it
Well, he was
808s?
no. Remember GLC, who was
GLC.
featured,
Yeah.
who used to be a part of Kanye's camp.
and
He
had
was-
a falling out with him, and currently
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
is on good terms.
He's also he was there at, on College Dropout. Was it Spaceships? He was
Yeah.
on that song. So GLC had requested that Cootie come and shoot some stuff of him in the studio, and he had mentioned that Kanye was going to be there. So Kanye was there, and then Cootie was taking footage like he was asked to do, and he said it was a very cold kind of reception, and that it was the first time that he ever felt like he
Not
wasn't
welcomed.
wanted and not welcomed, and then the first time ever Kanye signaled to him to cut off the camera.
yeah. It's almost like it's got to be such a tough position to be in, especially because it's like you could kind of tell like Kanye ain't even really want to acknowledge him in those moments, and it was like to see him kind of go through that phase, and then to see when they link back up how excited he was to see Cootie, how energized he was. It was like you knew, like, damn, like you can just see the difference of like, yo, Kanye was a different person during that phase, during whatever he was going through. Like he was going through it, because to see the difference in the reaction Cootie got the next time around was just like, that was dope. And I love that the same way you was like Cootie, you know, wanted to talk to Kanye. I love that when he finally got a chance to, after they was connecting, he made sure to talk to him about God. And like that was like something he wanted to kind of, I think whenever people are lost, right, and I think Kanye was in a place where he was lost, and like they need some sort of guidance, right? He lost Donda, and so obviously he was just kind of going, and nothing to kind of steer him. The circle around him wasn't the same people, and I feel like in moments like that, you need someone in your life to remind you of something that's in the bigger picture, like God, you know, whatever you believe in, right? And that kind of like almost helps you refine some sort of guidance, something to aim towards, you know what I mean? Where he didn't have his mother's influence anymore, right, on the day-to-day, but now, you know, Cootie felt like the main job he wanted, the main point he wanted to get across once he got a chance to talk to him was to tell him about God and a relationship with God, and to remind him of that, because that's a part of his roots and shit too, especially like knowing the woman his mother was. And so I thought that was dope.
What did y'all think about what did y'all think about when Cootie, this was like early in the third act, where he's kind of talking about the fact that there is now a distance and he feels kind of hurt that he's on the outside looking in. And then he mentions that he wanted to release the documentary, or prepare to release the footage that he had up until that point. We're talking about, he had footage from like 2002 to like 2007, 2008 or whatever, and he wanted to to start working on putting something together. And he said he's not ready for the world to see the real him, and then I'm paraphrasing here, but he also said, and I found this interesting, this is what I wanted to ask what you guys thought about that. He wanted to know, he mentioned that Kanye told him that he's an actor now.
He's acting. Yeah.
What do you think, first of all, that he meant by that? Because it does come back later on in the final acts where Cootie says he thought he was acting this whole time or whatever, or playing some character, but then he kind of realized
he thought he was just doing it for the performances, he said.
Right. This is kind of him though. Like the good and the bad, it's all him.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that statement? Or
that shit was deep. I just feel like Kanye convinced himself that because now the limelight was on him, and it was like, I gotta live up to something now, so now I gotta act to be this person. And then slowly, I think we all witnessed it take its toll on him, and that's why this documentary is so fucking deep, because it gets to that point where now even his closest friends went through ups and downs with him, got pushed away, then brought back just to be felt played or not welcome, just to then reconnect over God and all that. Could be like, yo, I don't know if it was an act or not now, and matter of fact, it wasn't. This is him, so
right.
That's how
I think what you said, like, it took a toll on him eventually. Like, when you are acting, if you are in any walk of life, whatever you do, if you're performing or putting on a front about who you are, or you're making sure to only show this certain side of you, that's work, and that's gonna take a toll. And think about how many years, and then how many years he did that without his mother around to kind of guide him and have those moments of reflection with him. Like,
only that, he didn't take a break. Remember, he
kept
they showed
working.
footage
They said
of
he
him
was nonstop.
a week later on the stage for the Glow in the Dark tour.
And he's saying his mom would have told him.
Yeah, and he was kind of ranting against public perception, the media, and even people close to him who were calling him and telling him, you need to take time, you need to take a break. And he wasn't with that at all. He was like, if my mom was here, she would have told me to keep performing and keep whatever.
Yeah,
but you could tell though, it wasn't. It was too soon though.
He thought that was the therapy he needed,
Yes.
but it wasn't. In hindsight,
Great point.
But I feel he genuinely thought, like, this is what my mom would have wanted me to do. This is gonna help me. But really, it made him push the people closest to him away.
And it was a coping mechanism, you think, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
when traumatic experiences happen, a lot of people end up some people end up kind of diving headfirst into whatever their passion is, whether it be
To
their
keep
work.
their mind off the fact of what's
Right.
actually happening that's
Exactly.
really affecting you. So
Yeah.
it's like he technically ended up being on that stage, not being able to cope with his mom's passing. You know, it was like keeping his mind off it, but really it was eating him alive.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was the right decision. Maybe he did need time, but
Well,
I guess we'll never know.
I mean, he bottled it for sure. You know what I mean? He bottled it and stayed and tried to keep himself distracted. And like I think we've all been there, right? Where we're going through something, and I remember I had a falling out with my ex at some point, and Aaron was like, "Hop on the Fortnite." And, like, I use that as, like, a fucking way to distract myself. Like, we've all been there, you know? So, like, It's hard to say, it's hard to be like, damn, Kanye, you fucked up. Like, obviously, you know, like, he was probably dealing with it the best way he thought he knew how. Just like we would, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes we do need those people around us to kind of let us know, like, hey, like, it's okay to process this and to take your time and to really go through the motions and all the steps of grieving so that you can face it, so that it doesn't bottle up and so that it doesn't down the line come out in different ways, you know, and potentially destructive ways, right? So
Right.
One more thing I wanted to say was I love how the giant quote by Donda comes back towards the end.
Of course.
That was
Donda
so
saying
important.
you need an angel comes back towards the end. It all comes full circle.
It's crazy because
oh, man,
in the
that was
first
beautiful.
episode when she said that, I wrote it down. I wrote down not
the angel.
I wrote down the
Everyone
angel
needs
part.
an angel. Yeah.
Everyone needs an angel, and my first thought
It
was
sounded like it was like a theme for the documentary. Like,
yeah,
you
and my
know?
first thought was like, yo, Donda loved him so much that like when it came time, she became his angel, kind of thing. But like I thought that might sound like too corny to say, so I never said it.
And because
but
the circumstances was unfortunate the way
exactly,
she passed, so,
exactly. So you don't want to do it like it's some divine kind of, but we don't know, right? But it's
now we
also
know
funny
she
because
is
in
his
this
angel,
in this same part 3. At some point, she goes like the parenting ended, right? Like I mentioned earlier,
It's
and it's
time to
like
guide him.
there was nothing more for her to do as a parent, and now it's like I'm gonna watch over you type vibe. So I don't know, but
shit was deep, man.
yeah, shit was crazy.
You know what? I was thinking also, like, this documentary is it's a lot more than just a documentary about Kanye. To me, it's equally a documentary about Cootie, because
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it is
parallels.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, yeah, the parallels of their daughters being born, you know, separated by like a year or two or whatever, the death of his dad, the death of his mom, Kanye's mom, Cootie's dad. They have these life-altering events and stuff like that, and it's like you see how both of them deal with it to a degree. But the biggest takeaway is, to me, Cootie is not only doing a voiceover on this documentary just to kind of describe scenes, but he's also, I feel like, talking to Kanye. Like, I think when Kanye watches this in its totality, especially the third act, I think there's a lot of things that he said on there that were directed towards him, that if Kanye has any heart, which he does, that shit has to hurt him or hit him in a way and resonate with him, especially since he had love for him at one point and probably still does. But to hear his boy talk about him and talk about him with that kind of love and kind of talk about him reflective, like, damn, like, I feel like I'm so proud of him. I have to make peace with the fact that I wasn't around for these couple years and we're not as tight as we once was, but I'm still gonna, you know, champion him, and I'm still gonna be proud of what he accomplished. You know, like, that shows kind of true character and how selfless he is as an individual.
And it kind of gets into also, like, if there's one person that really did believe in him from the beginning, there's proof Cootie did. Cootie dropped everything to fucking record him when he was nobody. He didn't have a record
and it's not just words neither. You see it in the actions that he took by doing that. It's not like it's a lot easier to say, you know, like, man, like Cootie definitely, you know, showed him love early on. Like, no, he didn't just show him love. He dropped everything.
He deferred his own dreams.
Exactly. Like, that's the action backed that up.
Yeah.
Right. He deferred his own dreams and ended up finding his purpose. Cootie's purpose, and like he said it was ordained in his opinion. God used him as a tool to tell Kanye's story. And in the process of that, he found himself in the thing that he always wanted to do, that his dad instilled in him. His dad always had a camera. And as a kid, he always had a camera. And that wasn't the path he was going. You know, he was doing comedy and stuff. And Kanye, by filming Kanye and going all in on that, he ended up finding himself too.
And you know what else? To piggyback off what you were kind of saying too, with Kanye seeing it, like, you can tell it's hit Kanye, where Kanye is realizing, like, oh shit, like kind of what the whole world's realizing, you know, like how real Cootie was, the whole process, how vulnerable he was, and where this journey and this process has taken him. And you see him referencing things like back to college dropout and things in his new verses. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even I think he said it in the documentary in the end, they were all together, and he says some shit about, we got to take it back to that, like the beginning.
College dropout. He specifically mentions college dropout too.
Yeah.
I love that conversation that they had in the car. So when they're in China, I believe, and they're visiting the factories for like the Eazy line, the sneaker line with Adidas and stuff. They're having this deep conversation. I think you kind of touched on it, where they're talking about God and stuff. And
don't take my line. So I
what's your
wanted
line?
to say it. You want me to take your line?
Go ahead.
I think we're saying the same thing. Well, the line I wrote down was, I thought I was the god of culture. Is that what you got?
No, but that's a good one. What I was gonna say is
culture. I was gonna bring that up too.
I was gonna say the one where he says, I was confused. I couldn't figure out where I was going. I hit a breaking point. Came out of it thinking clearly. And then Cootie said, sometimes God has to sit you down to wake you up.
Yeah.
You know, that was deep. That was super deep, because he hit rock bottom, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, like Cootie's back in his life, at least for the time being, and he has, you know, people that he feels that he could trust and stuff. You see Cudi back around at the same time after they had their thing. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, man, it's interesting. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, when he says, I thought I was the god of culture, but culture was my god, and now I'm no longer a slave. Like, that was when he was finding God as well. And like, and it's funny because we see him mention, like, he has the whole rant about, like, I am a god, and he's like, when I say that, it's because I believe, like, I am a god. You remember? I think it's the same interview as the Gaga meme interview. But like, so it's like he really, because that was the thing with Kanye. It was like, as like before seeing the documentary, there were moments where you're like, all right, well, does he believe in God? And there was people that questioned it. Like, I believe even Rosenberg, they had a snippet of Rosenberg saying it was like convenient. It seemed convenient that he started to doing the Sunday services, and, you know, after all of the things. So there was moments where you're like, yo, does Kanye really believe in God? Because then he calls himself fucking Yeezus, and then he says, I am a god. And so there's moments like where you're like, I can't tell if he believes in God or he believes he's a god. Like
most artists contradict themselves. He just took it to another level. His contradictions swing wildly.
Instead of standing tall on, like, I'm the fucking greatest rapper alive, he wanted to take it to that level where he's like, I'm a god.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what rap is about, braggadocious shit and all that, you know? So he's the extravagant of the extravagant. He's gonna take it to that level. I never personally took it like, yo, like, disrespectful. Like, I never doubted his faith.
I mean, but when someone says, I am a
people
god.
came at me like, oh, but you don't even know him, blah, blah, blah. But the only times I ever been upset with Kanye was when he said the stuff on TMZ and pretty much the Trump shit.
Slavery was a choice.
But when someone says, I am a god, like, you don't even have to be deeply spiritual or a super strong believer in God to know, like, that's blasphemy at its like at its simplest. Like, as people who believe in God, we aren't supposed to have other idols or compare ourselves in that way to believing we're gods ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
I just never took it so literal. I knew it was some rap shit, like, in my mind at least.
I mean, but he was saying it like he believed it, and I mean, apparently he did based on the quote. Like, I thought I was the god of culture.
Like, he did. Then.
He's not the first to say that. Also,
kind of thing.
He's not the first in hip hop to say that. Also, like, if you think about it, even though Kanye is a self-proclaimed Christian, you have like in hip hop music, the 5%ers. You know, like Rakim, the God MC, Rakim Allah. You know, Jay-Z has referenced himself as a god. Hova. You know, like Nas has referenced himself.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there are examples of it, right? But Jay-Z doesn't go around saying, like, I'm a Christian and I totally believe in God. Like, it's not a part of his message. So with Kanye doing that, it sends mixed messaging. You get what I mean? Like, it's all right to compare yourself to God if you're not going around talking about I believe in God and you know.
And I think that's a big part of his story, the missed messages and him, like, feeling one way and feeling the other way. But I think that's what also can make you look at Kanye and be like, yo, no matter what, we all human. Sometimes we feel this way, sometimes we feel that way. No one's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Just because he has so much money, you want to hold him to such a high standard. Yeah, the money actually gives him the spotlight and gives him the platform to say these things and then go back and forth potentially on how he feels about it.
And one thing I will say about Kanye is when he came off of moments where he said things that were potentially harmful, it may take some time, but he usually came around and apologized for it. Always said sorry. There were multiple times where, like, he acknowledged his behavior and said he was sorry or wrong for doing something that he did. You know what I mean? And him going through the process of learning and being able to, you know, continue to grow and continue to figure it out is I thought it was dope.
Yo, Eric, you so say something?
Well, I was gonna mention there is a part when he's in Dominican Republic. Well, actually, even before that, before I get to that, the one thing that struck me too is like going back to Cootie and the way he was shooting it. I love that the way he shot that scene when he's talking in the car and he doesn't even have. He's not even shooting Kanye's face. He was kind of shooting like his mouth moving, kind of, but he was shooting the car moving and just like the road and stuff and just like the trees and whatever they were passing by at the time and stuff. And it was like it was a cool perspective. But I bring that up because there was 3 instances that I counted where he cut the camera off without Kanye telling him, and it was the first time he ever did that. In Dominican Republic, it was the first time, and it looked like Kanye was having a manic episode where he was having one of those. You know, he was a person that Cootie said he did not recognize, and the way he was talking was not something he had ever, in a way that he'd never heard him talk before. You know, and that struck me that he did it 3 times, not only because the reaction of Cootie, but also like Cootie was like, yo, fuck getting good footage. Like, this is my boy. Cootie's I'm not going to put him out like that. And like, if I feel, even though he may not agree with me and he might feel like what he's saying is like some shit you need to hear and everybody needs to hear, I'm gonna make the call to cut this shit off right now because I'm not comfortable filming him in what I perceive to be this type of space, and the stuff that he's saying I don't feel like is the right type of energy he's projecting. And one of the I was just gonna say the one quote in Dominican Republic, he's with the realtors and he's sitting outside and they're having a discussion and they're talking about some development or something that they wanted to build, I guess in DR or whatever. And then the conversation takes a turn and Kanye starts talking about Taylor Swift and then the media and the public. And he said, post Taylor Swift, post media, he said they tied both my arms and both legs to 4 horses.
Horse crucifixion.
All in different directions. They didn't know they were dealing with Deadpool though. Those limbs grew back.
Yeah. And
that was a crazy quote.
He was also saying how, sometimes I have to translate it from alien to English.
I wrote that down too. He said he just took meds last night because it helps him translate alien to English because that's why he can't communicate with the public, kind of. Yeah. And then he said, can't communicate with the public because all I speak is truth, and we're in a world full of lies. Some shit like that.
Yeah, he was kind of going off. I know I got that he was just speaking even if it resonated in a little bit with me, where I'm like, yo, he's going off right now. You can tell he's having a moment where Cootie would have to do the right thing and be like, nah, I can't put him out there like that. Where these realtors might be feeling like in an awkward situation. Well, yeah. Just him going off like that,
Yeah, he was no matter what he's saying, in that conversation, yeah.
So it's deep. It's deep. That was a deep moment too, and I like that you brought that up, that he had to cut it later on. It was a complete opposite of college dropout and him being vulnerable and showing every moment. It was we can't put that out there like that. We got to make sure he's right, You know
what? I like how it ended. The prayer was dope. There was a prayer that Cootie was basically saying at the end, and I think I kind of touched on before. He's basically, the whole point of the prayer was that he was thanking God. It was him coming to peace with what happened between him and Kanye, and kind of just wrapping it up and just saying he's thanking God for placing him in Kanye's life and placing Kanye in his life and allowing himself to be used as a tool to kind of tell the stories. I thought that was dope, the way he ended it. That shit was really artful. What you said earlier about them bringing back the Donda clip where she has the quote of the giant doesn't see nothing when he looks in the mirror.
Yep.
I think that was purposeful. I believe that was in there to kind of remind Kanye of his humble beginnings. That was purposeful for Kanye to see that, I believe. I think that was he made a directorial decision there. Whoever edited that, I think they were like, yo, let's place this here.
Yep. And that's why it resonated with us from the beginning. Mm-hmm. What a great series.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing. Did you find it weird that Kim was notably absent from the documentary? We didn't even see him, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even remember a conversation that he had with her on the phone at all, during that time when Cootie and him reunited. He was talking to all these people, and then he was in all these retreats and she was never around. I just found it kind of interesting and a little bit odd, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, she was with Pete. No.
Cootie just could have been around when she wasn't around, or maybe
I think it was, it could have been that.
Maybe.
I would also say she was possibly doing her own thing, or a lot of times we see Cootie's back around, they're in DR or they're in.
And look at Kanye, he would be in LA and be like, yeah, I'm going back to Wyoming tonight.
Exactly.
Wyoming, that's the lifestyle they live,
Yeah. So, I didn't think too much of it. But the only time we saw her was at the Pablo listening event.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but otherwise, she wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
Maybe that was Kanye's call. Yeah. But yeah, man. Legend.
Incredible documentary. I hope Cootie wins all the awards for it. And I hope we see more stuff, whether that be cutting room footage that he may have, because he has hundreds of hours of footage that obviously this is a 3-hour documentary that was condensed in. So like, but I hope he gets more opportunities to do stuff, whether it be videos. I hope he continues to be around Kanye, because I think Kanye needs people like that in his life.
For sure.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, my bad.
I was gonna say I like that when Cootie was finally putting it together during the pandemic, because it gave a lot of people time to do stuff, and that he was just going through the clips and just being real grateful and cherishing just all the footage they had and all the moments they created, and it made me cherish no, but it made me cherish shit like this, even that we on a podcast, because even years from now, let's say we ain't shit, like we never make it, right? Like even just being able to look back at this shit, like, yo, we was having a good time. We was putting ourselves out there, kind of thing. Like, so just cherishing the moments while you going through them.
Yo, so who's Cootie in this situation and who's Kanye though?
I don't know.
That ain't my call.
I mean, I'm Team Kanye, but nah, I'm gonna stay grounded.
That ain't my call.
We shall see.
I mean, does anyone want to be Kanye? Do y'all want to be Kanye?
Nah, I
I'm
want
more
to be
Cootie.
Consequence.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Kanye just kind of took it real far. Like, I mean, that would be amazing too, but I've never really, not at that level, never really envisioned my life to take it to that level. Like, big, sure. Not anything like Kanye has reached and accomplished. That's crazy.
Yeah, do you kind of want to
I'd
be
almost
that
be
big,
scared.
though?
I'd almost be afraid to be that big.
I think I'm afraid. I would be afraid too.
I would be afraid too.
Yeah, but I do want to be at somewhat of a level to be influential in a positive way if I can. But the Kanye level is insane.
But Kanye level is $1 billion level.
Yeah, of course.
$1 billion, man. That's a long time. But nah, $1 billion is scary. The fact that Kanye even somehow, right now in this moment, is just out hanging out in fucking Miami, hanging out with all his rapper friends again, and it's like trying to get back to being himself. And it's like, bro, you're like a $1 billion guy trying to be a normal and get in tune with your normal side, like before you were fucking famous now. Like, it's crazy.
Yo,
Yeah,
but
it's weird.
you bring up him being a billionaire and all the power and money that he has, right? One thing that he says in the documentary that was,
Oh, yeah.
that was dope also is when he was reflecting, he brought up influence a lot. And he was very, very aware of his influence. And he felt strongly about him having a responsibility. And he
to like
felt
pay back everybody.
exactly. And he
He
was like,
I won't be happy, I won't be satisfied until I pay back everyone that believed in me, that was there for
Right.
me, that helped me. Like, yeah.
but also he felt like because he had the platform, because he had the access to see things that people can't see in Chicago growing up how he used to grow up. The average person can't touch the things that he touched. They don't have the knowledge that he has in terms of like the experiences that he has. He feels an extra responsibility and an added weight to help those through his creations, through the things, through whatever agenda that he's trying to push out there, and that could come off-putting because, as he acknowledged, he has problems with the way he communicates his ideas sometimes, and they don't always come across they're not always received because of the way in which he delivers them. But I credit for him for the fact that despite how big he got, like, he's always thinking about how can I offer this up to the world? How can I do this? Like, I want to do this. I want to put a spin on this. I think this could be done better. And like he dares to be great in everything that he does. And it's like, People talk about it. He does it.
To me, that's
He
what I
lives
always
it.
admired, though. Like,
Yeah.
above all else, I always admire his, in some ways, fearlessness to try and like you said, do something great, do something new, do something different, change, help, show a way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Bro, and it's just inspiring. It's just inspiring to me, you know?
100%.
But before we wrap it up, I did want to mention the new Game video. A lot of people have been talking about that, featuring Kanye, Eazy.
Dope record.
Dope record. The video was dope too to me. You know, I like that they mixed in the claymation with the dark visual and shit. Kind of like the City of God videos, how it was like dark too, but this time the more gangster side, like, I don't know, like the West Coast, like everything Game brought to it and all that. And
Do you feel like getting knee-high boots and stuff? And
actually,
like
I
black
do.
trench.
Yeah. Nah, but low key, there's a Red Wing store by my crib somewhere, right? You know, the Red Wings, and those are like the boots he be wearing. I'm like, I want to go to that store and see if they have the boots, because if them shits is sold out, that's gonna say a lot.
or if they're like marked up crazy, like
Yo,
imagine they're
like for real, like the Kanye really is like the ultimate influence.
I mean, he's got
That'd
a
be
lot
crazy.
of stands for sure. I wouldn't be surprised.
Facts. But yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about that video too, though, because he's definitely taking shots at Pete Davidson,
He's
aka
threatening
Skeet
his
Davidson. Huh?
He's not taking shots. He's threatening his life.
Yeah, he decapitated him in the video and buried him.
And buried him.
In claymation.
What does that mean?
That means it's characters.
So
So
you're
was he supposed to do it? Was he supposed to do it? And if he did it with real life humans, you would say, but it's not the real Pete in the video.
Nah,
Like,
then I
what would you
yo,
say?
That's a
Like-
message.
It's a message regardless.
Nah, I mean, I think we all
What's the
then got the
difference?
message.
But
What
what's
is
the
that?
difference?
What's the message?
Get the fuck out of Kanye's life.
But
Leave
he's not.
Kim alone.
Pete's not. I don't think Pete's like trying to be in Kanye's life. It's like Kanye is bringing Pete into his life in a way.
I
like,
think
more than necessary. He could just ignore that. Kim's
Yeah.
not his property type shit.
no, we already addressed that. I know. I'm
Yo, honestly, Pete is winning. He's with Kim Kardashian, one of the most. Listen,
And
let's
he don't
keep
gotta
it
do
real.
nothing to do it. Yeah.
Not only is he with Kim Kardashian, he's under the skin of Kanye West. Kanye has his name on his lips all the time. It's
He's a
skeet this,
snake.
skeet that. Every 5 seconds, he's posting something on social media referencing Pete Davidson. He's in Kanye's head.
Bro, I would never give another man that much attention if I
Exactly.
didn't.
that's true.
Like,
That's
you
exactly.
doing a
It's
lot.
crazy.
Like,
bro.
I would never handle it the way he's handling it.
You got a bunch
Now-
of real estate.
At this point now, I feel like this is part of an act. It's part of the act. It's
So
it's
he's
getting
back to
engagements.
acting.
Aaron shooting Kanye bail. I haven't heard that before.
I still don't have a problem with it though. Fuck it.
But that's
Fuck-
your reasoning.
fuck Skeet.
Fuck it. Like,
Yeah, it's a video, bro. Like, who cares? It's not that serious to me. Like, bro,
I mean,
you don't
vid-
like fucking Pete, and that's it. Like, he gonna keep dissing him. He gonna keep coming at him. He gonna keep until probably they break up. Who knows? I don't know. Or
See,
until he
but-
gets tired.
But here's the thing with that, and this is why I find it dangerous. Normally, I would agree with you from the standpoint. I'm like, all right, it's a video,
Exactly.
right? But we just saw a documentary with somebody who has bipolar disorder and is prone to manic episodes. And when you, not you personally, but when people and fans and people in his close circle gaslight him
And enable the shit.
and enable behavior, when it gets to the point that, God forbid, one of these days he either hurts himself or hurts somebody else, like a Pete, you know, then people are gonna be like, oh well, you know, I tried to help him and stop him, but as long as he continues to be somebody who's a moneymaker and they can eat off of, people are gonna stay quiet. They're gonna shut the fuck up because they want the bag, and they're gonna ride the train until it falls off that track and it gets derailed. And that's the dangerous thing. And I feel like some of the fans, and I'm not saying you're specifically doing this, Aaron, but
I'm saying you specifically.
But it's like some of them are irresponsibly, even in the comment section, gassing him up and hyping him up.
I was gonna say Aaron's the dude in that comment section.
Yeah, what is that?
Produced by
Producer?
I'm not saying his name. I don't even care to say his name. I wouldn't
that's
even give
Aaron's
him that.
that's his burner account.
Yeah. He's from Philly. You ain't know?
He's trash.
Nah, I never even knew about that guy. Like, bro, I don't
corny.
even be in the comments of Kanye shit. Like, I just read his headlines, read whatever he posts, and be like, yo, my boy Kanye out here, you know, like, fuck it. Kanye got his girl. She's straight. He on his like third girl.
The second girl that looks like
him. So then why is it an issue? Like, you've already
it's gained already so much attention and media.
So you think he's doing it because
now he's just dragging it.
So
the video he bended that verse.
Assuming?
So they're being creative about the verse. They put fucking Pete in a body bag. It is what it is, you know. 1,000 goons this afternoon pulling up to SNL.
So you believe Kanye's actually unbothered by it, but he's just rolling.
No,
with
I believe
it for
Kanye
the show?
may be bothered by it. Like Eric said, fucking, he has his episodes. We just seen a documentary where he does deal with feeling one way, then feeling another way, you know. So he probably does feel a way, but at the same time, then he's still doing his own thing, moving on, having other women, you know. And I'm not
he's
saying
definitely
that
bothered
fair.
by it. You know why?
I'm not saying it's fair that he could go and be with other women and Kim can't be in a relationship happy.
He's on his 4th divorce lawyer, they just reported. So Kim, for now 2 years or a year and a half, has been trying to get declared legally single in the eyes of the law, and she finally got that granted. They are not officially divorced yet, but they're on the way to that. So he got his 4th divorce lawyer.
He's scrambling right now.
Right? So it's like he can say whatever he wants, but it's pretty obvious that he is 1,000% bothered.
You just gotta move on, man. Come on, Kanye.
And then he's linking with a chick who looks just like her. You're dressing the chick like her. The chick from Uncut Gems, what's her name? Julia Fox. He was dressing her like Kim also. It's a weird look. He even said himself.
Never spoke on it either. She came out and was like, "Yeah, I went and got the bag, take notes, type
was, like,
shit."
Talking shit about it. That was weird to me.
after breaking up with Kanye.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
I thought that was a corny little moment.
Yeah, it was corny, but let's be honest about it. If she was using Kanye, he was also using her, and she was totally fine with it. And she's not a stupid girl. She kind of knew what was going on. Like, she knew it wasn't gonna last. Yep. Yo, your first date was in Vogue. Like, that was their relationship. They had a photo shoot for their first date, and it ended up being like in Vogue magazine or some shit.
Nah, I'm gonna come clean. I think Kanye needs to stop fucking around with Pete Davidson. Just get over that shit. Like, bro, let the woman be happy and move on, bro.
Nah, fuck Skeet. Fuck Skeet.
Yeah, fuck it.
Nah,
just throw him in another music video.
Okay, now y'all talking my language.
Keep on riding on Skeet. You can't drop that flag. Listen, if you're gonna drop that flag, I'm picking it up. Fuck that. We can't all be in agreement.
Like, all jokes aside and shit, like, I know I do be like, yo, Team Ye, blah, 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 and all that, and I do love Kanye just from an artist and the way he's impacted my life with his music. But leave them alone, bro. Like, bro, if you really think they corny or Pete's corny, then let him be his corny self. That shit ain't gonna work out anyway. You don't want him around your kids, you always have a say-so in that. You could just not have him around your kids, keep that to yourself, and that's it, and move on.
That's what it's about. It's about getting on your grown man shit and saying something like that and being about that. Like, that's what Kanye needs to do. Same way you just laid it out, that's what he got to be on.
The last thing I'm gonna say, it would be fire. I know it's not gonna happen because
if Kanye came out and said, yo, he's corny and that's not gonna work, so I don't care.
No.
I think I would love it.
That would be
Pete Davidson.
Kanye.
Pete Davidson, like either going on Instagram and posting stuff at Kanye or tweeting, doing like a series of tweets where he's roasting Kanye would be hilarious. Because first of all, I don't know how much y'all know about Pete Davidson outside of SNL, but like he's a funny dude. Like he's not like he's well fully equipped and capable of like roasting Kanye. There's plenty of material. He could be shitting on him, but he's not doing
never
it.
found that guy funny.
He's not. Listen, you got to go see some of his roast videos. He's funny as fuck. He's funny as fuck. He's really good. I'm telling you.
And you got to see Don't Fuck With Cats. You still haven't seen that.
The fuck is that?
The documentary we was talking about.
Do you even watch our podcast?
We talked about that.
Not only were you there
that's
to
right.
discuss it
That's
with us,
Listen.
Nah, but I feel you. Yeah, stand up for yourself. Don't be a little bitch like he's saying
I do
you
think
are.
I do think he's playing it smart because
But
nothing Pete would come out and say right now is gonna stop the
Exactly,
Kanye
and I don't
fans.
think
So you
Pete-
just play it smart and then
There's a
think
bunch
he's
of people
creative
wants
enough to roast the
risk
fuck out
towing
of
the
him.
line of
Oh, he
real
would
life.
Yeah, not
destroy
only that,
Kanye.
but exactly, it's
and
real
not
life.
because then
you don't
if
wanna
he does get
involved.
hurt, because the fucking Kanye stands out there, you know what I mean, or just in general, you never know how he might trigger Kanye, you know. So I think he knows like, yo, fuck it, I can't even fuck around with this. This is like real life
Not
shit.
only that,
This
but
ain't
he
about
got
roasting
the
Kanye
shorty.
yet.
He got his girl.
Ultimately,
whatever.
he's sleeping with his girl, you know.
Yeah.
So
And when I say his girl, I don't mean Kanye. I mean like his own girl.
yeah.
It's over for Kanye on that. Pete took his bitch. What you gonna do? Pull up.
It's a different side of you. Right?
Yo,
I'm back away.
Aaron brought it out of me. My bad.
yo.
Let me recenter.
But on that note, not to end it mad aggressive like how we are, but make sure you guys go like, subscribe, and comment, and follow us on all socials. Follow us on Instagram, No Politics Network, No Politics Sports. Follow us on Twitter, all that shit, you know.
If you see us in the streets, follow us there also. Like, fuck it. No?
Don't follow me.
I'm gonna
I
give
don't like
someone a
that.
spinning back.